Okay. And now, I know just thinking back to our 3.5 nights on the trail, 3.5 days, 3 nights. I keep thinking of a bunch of moments that stick in my mind, a bunch of memories, whether it be good or bad. Do you have, now that you're 4 months in, started mid-June, do you have right now a clear, that's my best memory, or is it still kind of all sinking in? What's your take on
Uh,
that?
it's still it's still kind of all sinking in. It's like I do have some funny memories for sure in regards to various situations. Like there's a few that stick out more than others, just simply because of either just silly situations or just like this area was just so beautiful. Like off the top of my head, it's the White Mountains were amazing, along with Southern Maine. Uh, and then honestly, until recently, nothing really, really, really crazy jumped out at me until like I got into Virginia. And then now I'm rolling back into some really beautiful views that are gonna stick with me for a while. And then I got some other fond memories, such as when I was in the Shenandoahs. This will probably be a memory that sticks with me for a while. It was the Shenandoahs are hysterical because it's one of the most visited parks in America, and therefore predominantly caters to tourists as opposed to like through hikers. They cater to day hikers and people driving through with cars, because throughout the entire Shenandoah Ridge, there's a road called Skyline Drive in which you zigzag through about 30 times. And along this road, there are called what are waysides, which are little camp stores that sell like little souvenirs, beer, camp food, and all that. And we're a little bored because the Shenandoahs were starting to get beautiful for us. It was starting to get a little mountainous again, but still a little boring. So I was with actually three people that I'm with here tonight in Damascus, two girls, Snickets and Kendall, and a guy Misery. And we just decided to hop from wayside to wayside and get pretty drunk. And we were shooting for a shelter because we knew that the next day was supposed to rain, but we did not know how bad. So we ended up getting pretty drunk and found a little picnic area, set up our tents, and then it started raining. We got into our tents, and yeah, it was fine. Our tents were giving us dry, but then it turned into a torrential, windy downpour that lasted for about 8 hours. And tents are only so good. And by morning, all our things were just completely soaked through. And there was a women's bathroom that was about maybe 300 feet away that I said I was going to make a mad dash for, and everyone agreed. So we all packed up our things and ran over to a women's bathroom in the middle of the Shenandoahs at a little picnic area and posted up there for about 2 hours until the rain died down. And then we ended up hopping on Skyline Drive where a nice Dutch couple picked us up and took us into town.
Well, that's a very good entrance point to my next question. Um, I know that when we passed through the Delaware Water Gap, there was a nice church hostel right in there that let you stay for free. They accepted donations, but nothing was required. They had books to read, music, couches, bunks to sleep on. I mean, that's my only. I've sectioned the AT in different sections, but this year with you, that's my only run in with the community in that sense, but also includes getting a ride, hitching in and out of town. How has the community throughout the trail, received you, and has it been more welcoming, more kind of, what are you doing? You have your awful smell. Don't come near me. How's the community treated you?
Oh, the community's been great. Like all the towns I've been through have just been very, very receptive to the through hikers. They've been nothing but extremely nice and courteous, and uh, open up their homes or give us rides or whatever it may be. They're extremely generous people. It's like the towns I pass through, I don't really have any real bad thing to say. Like hitching into town, you'll stick out your thumb, and you'll get passed by a bunch of cars. But then there's that one person who usually somehow affiliated with the outdoors, or like will swing by and be like, "Hey, you need a ride?" And so they're more than welcome and to take you into town.
All right, and I know reading. Once again, we're talking to 2012 southbound hiker Smokey. Reading a lot. People's warn about taking long stays off the trail. I know you've done it twice on this through hike and gotten back on both times. Is there a certain truth to that? Did you ever, when you were home for extended time, think about, maybe I don't want to go back? Is it harder? Is it something you should watch for, or is it something as long as you're determined you can do?
It's it's something you should keep an eye on. There is definitely truth to that statement. It was when I originally passed through the hometown of Warwick. It was supposed to only be originally a 4-day stop, and the first time I passed through was 8. I ended up getting back on trail after 8 days, which is usually a common thing. Is that people will go home or go visit some friends in like a big city or town or something like that, and only plan to stay a few days but get sucked in for much longer. In regards to hopping back on the trail after such a long stay, it was just due to the fact that I was so invested. It was like I was pretty confident I was gonna hop back on, but I won't lie, I definitely had some fleeting thoughts about uh, not hopping back on because home life was certainly a lot more comfortable in comparison to the Appalachian Trail life. But once I hopped back on trail, any mild anxiety or whatnot I had immediately went away, and the same goes for the second time I came home.
Um, so you said you kind of thought about not going back. What what drove you to going back? You had second thoughts. Maybe I don't want to go back on. Home life is comfortable. I don't have to worry so much about a low budget. I can work. What was the deciding factor where you're just like, you know what, I can't let this go. I got to get back out there.
No, the deciding factor is what I honestly feel like the deciding factor between people who finish and people who don't is that it's I don't know, it's I didn't want to leave it unfinished by any means. It's I know if I didn't finish it would have bothered me for a very, very long time, and that I almost felt like I had a sense of obligation to go back and finish it as opposed to this is something I mean this is something I chose to do, but honestly look at this point as something I have to do now as opposed to something I want to do.
Interesting you say that. Do you think some people get to the point where they stop enjoying their hike and just are looking forward to finishing just because they're that type of personality that they have to finish, or do
Oh
most
yeah.
do most people keep going because they enjoy it, or are a lot of people just goals driven and kind of say, you know what, I'm ready to get this over with, but I can't stop with 500 miles to go.
Oh, there's plenty of people I met who are just finishing for the sake of finishing. Uh, up in Maine, I was already running the North Bounders, and I was still green behind the ears and new to all this. So I'd ask like some of the same old questions like, was it worth it? How's it been? And usually I just get the same response, which was just like that mix of happiness that it's going to be over, but also sadness because it has been a great adventure. But at the same time, most people are looking forward to getting back to the real world. And then every now and then I'd run into somebody like one response I got was you excited to finish? And he's just like, I just want to get to the top of Katahdin, touch that damn sign, and go home. So there's definitely people out there who have stopped enjoying their hike, but just have that stubborn mentality where they need to finish.